It seems to me that no matter what class my opponent is playing, I am always in a position where, if my opponent has even the slightest move speed advantage over me, fighting them either feels boring or worse, downright hopeless. I've gotten good with tools that were actually recently buffed by Iron Mace, but even these tools don't fix a lot of the problems the game and its community seem to be having. Lots of folks are ready to blame the class design for their troubles, but I am here today to write more about the potential behind map design. Recently, a lot of folks, including blessed SDF himself, have spoken about procedural map generation and the desire to implement it into Dark and Darker. Firstly, I know a mechanic like this is likely a year off, realistically, but that's exactly why I want to talk about it now. There are just a few elements that the maps need, and a huge array of apparent perceived flaws in class design that could be resolved without changing the classes at all. I don't like how it feels fighting someone who's a lot faster than me or being pursued by them, but what if I had the ability to run away from someone who was faster than me? I'll admit, this sounds like nonsense at first, but I promise, it really isn't. I'm talking about doors. Right now, there are only really 5 kinds of door. The normal door, which varies by perhaps having a window or being non-destructible, but everyone can interact with it, and it is unlocked. Everyone can use it. The locked door, which acts exactly like a normal door once you pick the lock. A super locked door, which requires a special key to open, but otherwise the same as the other two. Breakable doors, which remain broken once destroyed, but otherwise block passage and cannot be opened the traditional way. And lever-based doors, which are the most exciting by far. The same stat that speeds up lever interaction also speeds up the interaction with normal doors, and the time to accomplish both tasks is roughly the same. Both of these are missed opportunities, but still, they made sure the grates deal true damage whenever they fall on your head, which is just fantastic. Though still not enough door for me. We've got to raise the level of door by at least double. I want to talk about a new, theoretical kind of door, a 6th kind of door. A door which acts much like the locked doors, except that it would return to a locked state after it was closed again. This feels dumb if you're talking about an actual lock, but what if it was something different than a door? Like an arcane bridge that assembled and disassembled itself. We've got something similar activated by a lever in one module in Hell. The staircase extends, you get access to a wraith and some lion's head chests. But what if, instead of leading to treasure, it led simply away from the current area, through a wall that had no other close nearby doors? What if this special door had a stat requirement for using it? Like knowledge for the arcane bridge, resourcefulness for the weird lever you have to double jump to get to, or strength for a specially strong barricade that only the barbarian can smash. There are so many possibilities, and the most valuable thing here is that a given player playing any class that knows ahead of time that they are about to lose the game of rock, paper, scissors could forfeit the loot in the room they've just cleared for a one-way passage to a different module. I think most people would likely give up their complaints about, say, Warlock if you just gave them an out. If you could just leave when the uber-juiced, long-lost descendant of Sonic the Hedgehog enters your module. It would also help to give classes room for additional utility, like Rogue and Wizard. Both of these classes are often accused of being overpowered or underpowered during certain updates, and the best solution is to give them the option to take one foot out of combat and put those Juju Beans back into utility. Spotting randomized traps for the group, lockpicking doors and boxes for extra treasure, double jumping up to the crumbled stairs to reach that lever that requires a random value between 25 and 35 resourcefulness, just to interact with so that the group can move on. Now wizards can just take the light spell and a bunch of knowledge, and you're the guy preventing the team from being ambushed, using explosion spells to cover their escape and opening up new methods of traversing the dungeon, expediting your team's retreat at the crucial moment when the fighter is injured and needs to recuperate. If true physical damage and move speed are the things that are built by the quote-unquote chads of the dark and darker game space, then those are the things that need to be exchanged for the utility. They keep talking about how they can't release the dwarf skin, but what if the dwarf skin had minus 30% magical power bonus and physical power bonus, but it was able to interact with special dwarf-only doors? Like, people would use it. Now, back to map design. I've only talked about a new thing you could put in maps, but the key is incorporating these in a healthy way into the procedural generation, and I think the simplest way to do it would be to have the procedural generation tend to want to put big open modules in the center of the map, whereas more labyrinthine modules with more traps and more of these doorways I've talked about on the outer modules that are closer to the edge of the map. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments section down below. Should this be a thing? Should there be as much of it as I'm showing on screen right now? You tell me. Give me the dwarf skin.